What's up, Cal fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Gold Tweets. Tweet, tweet. This is the California Golden Bearcast, proud partner of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. And we are fridgeless today, Rob, so our sound quality is A+.
Woohoo!
All right, let's dive in to the good old tweets. I'm sure it's just going to be lots of positive, glorious thoughts. Nothing negative at all.
No, I definitely did not send this tweet out for people to respond to on Sunday. Definitely not that much time for people to get over the loss. So, might as well. Let's get to it. Our first one here is from Sid. She says, can't lie here, that was a tough watch and a humbling experience. Really showed us where the holes are now. So if we could fix one thing, what would it be for you guys? Because personally, I need someone to catch the damn ball. Still, go Bears and beat BC.
First of all, hello, Sid. Weren't we supposed to see Sid? It hasn't happened yet.
There's still a lot of games left.
There's still time.
Yeah, a lot of time.
lot of season left.
Lots of time.
Okay. What do you think, Rob?
For me, I kind of alluded to this in our previous podcast because I get to look at the Write for Cal guys and, all the articles they're writing this week. And Peter has an article coming out on Friday, which goes over run effectiveness on first down. And it's abysmal. That chart is abysmal. So that's probably it for me is can we generate yards with the run early in downs to help out Jaren a little bit? Because I think the only reason we're more fixated on the drops is because he's having to throw the ball to be able to sustain drives instead of us being, 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 6 and something more manageable in 2nd and 3rd down instead of being backed up and then having to go like 2nd and 11 or 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 9. So that's the one I would want. But what about you?
Okay. I mostly agree. I think that the one area that I might push on a little bit would be, I think the drops mattered a lot in this game. I think particularly the wide open one early in the game down the sideline. I think Camper had 2, man. I feel bad for calling him out. But yeah, I think they had a big impact on this game. You're right. I'm just sort of nitpicking scenarios here that because we have no run game, we have to depend on the pass more. But the drops, in my mind, played a bigger role, I thought, in losing this game than the run game did, except I have to take away the Kendrick fumble in order to make that point. So I'm kind of cheating.
Yeah.
But you're like, yeah, you are.
You definitely. Taking away the one thing that gave the opponent 7 points is not just like cheating. That's just like you're straight up giving away points.
It's called mental matriculation.
Really, really, truly stopping the count here.
Okay, on that note, next tweet.
Golf Grouch. Well, if you're going to suffer a loss, it's better to get it out of the way early in the season. I 100% agree.
I mean, I think that's Sid's approach, too. It's like, this game was good about showing us where our gaps were.
Yeah.
But you have to hope that this was just sort of the one and not the pattern. Did you notice that the line changed to BC's the favorite now?
Wasn't it were we favored at any point? I thought BC was favored from the get-go.
No, I thought we were favored in every single game after we won that Minnesota game.
Oh, you're talking about it like that. I was looking at like the line like of the week of.
Oh, okay.
Like, the Monday or the Sunday after like the previous game, because that's like, where the line really kind of starts.
Yes, like a normal person. I'm saying this as a non-better.
Not that. I mean, I'm not a better either.
I know. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that it had shifted over and we're underdogs. I mean, we're better as underdogs, right? It's better. Wilcox is a terrible favorite and a great underdog.
Yep.
So let's just stay underdogs for the rest of the season, and maybe it works out.
Yeah, I think the thing this week or the last couple days, I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to it, but Ron Rivera I think was on KNBR and he gave a very fiery speech on KNBR about the mentality of a team that is going through the here we go again, or just the crumble away types of mentality. Like if you get stuck in a loss like this, like I don't know if have you listened to this yet?
No.
Should we play it right now? Is that what we're gonna do?
How long is the clip?
It's like a minute, I think.
Oh.
It's just
Of
all right,
course.
let's see if I can pull this up real quick. But in the meantime, Andy, can you read us the next tweet, because it's more of a statement than a question?
Yeah, okay. So this comes from Cal Bears Degenerate Fan. Tough loss. Beating a Big Ten team. I thought we walk into Snapdragon Stadium and be in control for the fourth quarter. Or maybe for all four quarters. I'm not really sure how to interpret that one. For 4Q. I think it's all four quarters. That's why you play the games, though. We got a reality check. I guess the thing that has bummed me out is I thought our running game would be further along. I mean, I don't know. I just personally, we lost the entire room. Like, did we actually think that we could just like portal ourselves to having a? I do think the NFL has primed a lot of our thinking here, and that like we just watch fifth round draft pick after fifth round draft pick come into the league and blow up for like a season or two and then disappear into the night. But we forget that those guys are the one like what Ron Rivera said in the podcast. I'll keep us on task here. Those are the 1% that make it into the league. And so it's not quite as easy to replace in college football as it is in the pros when you're kind of skimming off the top. Now, certainly there are teams that can do it, but again, I think that's when we go back and if I go back to the previous podcast and we say, okay, what loss like really hurts us the most? I still think it's Jaden. Like we had someone that was like super experienced. And even if the O-line was still having struggles, you'd get a lot from him being back there. And you don't have to worry about the ball security issues. You don't have to worry about picking up blocks. Like you just have that familiarity. He's been with the program. Much less likelihood that he would have overlooked the San Diego State game. There's just like a lot there from a leadership perspective that I think it hurts. I'm not trying to reawaken this wound. I've said a million times, like I support the decision. I would have made the same decision, and I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for his family. But all this to say, we really, I do think the running game, you would hope at this point, 4 games into the season, it would have been more developed. Totally agree. However, it's the one area that I would have been least surprised preseason if it was struggling to build an identity, given that literally we lost the entire room.
The timing of the losses is also just as important, right? Like, I think with the transfer portal era, it's easy to replace talent and to alleviate some of the losses, but the time of the losses also very much dictate, like, if you will be even able to replace that talent. Like Jaden, leaving that close to the end of the cycle, like that was where we lost like our ability to replace that type of talent, right? And the majority of the top tier talent is going to end up going early. Like they're usually not guys that are going to enter the spring portal just because like they already are with a team in the spring. Like they know they're going to be the starter or whatnot. The guys that are leaving are guys that have been overlooked and are looking for playing time elsewhere. So like it's just the timing of it was just absolutely horrendous.
Remind me, they got rid of that, right?
Yeah. So that's I don't think it's been ratified yet, but that was the advisory committee's like recommendation, I think, to.
No. It's been ratified.
Has it been ratified?
Yeah.
I know for sure. I read the advisory committee advised that, and then they just had to go to a vote, which was people were saying was basically just a formality, like it was going to happen. But I don't know if that's what happened yet or not.
Yeah, no, there was, I know I saw a news article, I think it was like a week ago, where, it was like 8 days ago, that they said that NCAA approves the single transfer portal window.
Yep.
So yeah, that's in it. So that would have been helpful.
Yeah.
That would have been helpful. I wonder, if anyone would have left, but yeah, it's good to know that won't happen again.
Yeah, the timing of it definitely won't happen again. Okay, I guess Andy, before we go on, let's listen to that Ron Rivera thing. This is going to be cool because I'm going to be able to listen to your reaction to this as he talks about this. But it's also like you could tell the emotion is fresh off the San Diego State loss. Like it's 100% evident. So here we go.
But I know a lot of Cal Golden Bear alums, and there's this sort of what's the word? There's a mentality or a frustration that Cal's never going to be that team, never going to be that school that gets to the Rose Bowl or the college football championship or gets ranked top 10 in the nation, things like that. I mean, I know you're aware of it. It's sort of a mentality thing. I'm wondering, how do you address that to all the alums out there listening, all the students out there listening? We want to get past that mentality that you guys openly talk about as alums.
But see, that's part of the problem. It's a mentality. You have to change your mind and stick to that. You can't sit there and go, oh, wow, everything's great, it's wonderful, and then something bad happens and you go the other way. You got to continue to believe, and if you don't believe, get out of it. Okay, get out of it. And that's the thing everybody has to understand. It's the same thing for every one of those players. You can't sit there and drop your shoulders and all of a sudden start thinking, oh, here we go again. That's bullshit. Okay? I went through that my first 2 years in Carolina. You know how hard it was to get those players to get past that losing mentality. When I got there, they were coming off a 2-14 season. And so for 2 years, we struggled with it. But it's funny because that's kind of what created, the quote-unquote Riverboat Ron nickname that I got. I got to the point where I realized we had to be bold. We had to take chances. We got to be willing to put it out there and accept that responsibility. And once you do that, once you change your mindset, you give yourself a chance to win. But if every time something bad happens, half the people jump off the bandwagon, before you know it, you got anybody left to support you. If you want to change this program, you got to support this program no matter what, through thick and thin. Everybody goes, well, we got to make a change. Well, we made a change. I'm here as the general manager, but you got to give us time and you got to give us support. That's probably the most important thing a supporter, a fan could do, and that is to stick with it no matter how bad it gets. Yeah, there'll be a time that if it doesn't work for me, they're going to have to get rid of me. I understand that. But if you give us time, if you give us the opportunity and you stick to us and stay with us and don't slowly start dissipating and becoming fewer and fewer supporters, because, again, we have to rely on them. We have to have them on our side. You know how important it is to say, hey, you know what, that's our team. Yeah, they got beat, but I know what? I believe they're going to bounce back.
Damn.
Woo.
Oh, I have so many thoughts.
Woo. Oh, boy. All right, give me your thoughts.
Okay, well, first of all, I do need to start with the question, which I think is kind of wrong. Like, I don't know. That's not, it is certainly in the circle of, I get this a lot is, oh, Andy's the last one standing, or do I really want to sign up to get hurt again type of stuff. But it's mostly in jest. Anyone that's been a fan of this team that grew up in the Tedford era knows what this program is capable of. So the idea and the concept that anybody is out there saying that Cal will never get to a Rose Bowl, dude, we were right there. I literally watched Mac Brown cry fake tears in order to prevent us from going to the Rose Bowl. That was it. I've seen it. It's not like we haven't proven that we can do this. It's not like we haven't been ranked in the Wilcox era and been top 25. So I think like the entire notion that this is somehow impossible for Cal to achieve is frankly ridiculous. And I'm not sure what circles like Murph is hanging out in, but it's clearly not alumni that are that closely connected to the program. And I couldn't agree more with what Ron said. Like the thing that I see on the message board sometimes that really bothers me is after big losses, people will immediately jump to the same narrative or same comments, which is, hey, stop donating to the program and stop going to the games because that will get the change that we need. And I think like that mentality is left over from the era where we didn't have someone like Ron involved. And it's something that I buy season tickets every year, whether Cal is going to be good or not. And like I get asked, is Cal going to even be good? Should I buy these tickets? And I'm like, who cares? Right? Rob, we've said this before. There's a tradition about this. There is a joy that fall brings. There is a joy that this season brings every single year for us that keeps us involved in going back. So it's not a matter of me ever questioning, am I going to renew these season tickets or not? Because I know that I have to be committed to this program in the ways that I possibly can, right? And if I had more resources to be able to do that from an NIL perspective, I would. But for me, that's 2 seats every year, right? I'm locked in saying, hey, I'm going to support, I'm going to make sure that stadium is full, and that my daughter grows up with a tradition that meant a lot to me when I grew up with my parents. And that is so I think that's what I hope I'm interpreting what Ron is saying. Obviously there's so much more there from a player perspective and getting rid of that and losing mentality and sort of like the typical and like getting back to this is what we should expect. No, I mean, it certainly isn't what we shouldn't expect. But I fully agree that what we can't do is be the fair weather California sports fan. We can't be the California sports fan that says, oh, it looks like the Niners are, not going to be that great. So I'm going to just like mow my lawn every Sunday instead. Or, oh, Cal's going to be 500 again, so I'm just going to go and, do anything else with my Saturdays. And like, that's not an issue for us. It's not an issue for the circles, but like, I do know that's a real thing. I'm certainly guilty of that with the Niners. Like, there's been times when I'm like, all right, I watched Cal football. I watched the Giants. I watched the Warriors. I've watched the Niners. I'm like, something's got to give, right? If they're going to be bad, then I'll got to move on. But, it's a little bit different. I think the thing is like Ron is fighting a fight for us on the front lines of a battle that matters a lot in regards to the trajectory of what Cal football means, not right now, but like 10 years from now or 5 years from now. And you can tell he's close to that. He's passionate about it. And I just feel like if folks are willing to just turn it off after the San Diego State loss, like you just kind of miss the point. Like this is bigger than that. And again, I'm like the king of saying we're going to go 6-6. I really hope that's not true. And I hope that we push to 8 to 9 and we get that winning mentality. But it certainly seems like if we don't, we have somebody in charge that's going to make a change. So I don't think the answer to that is to pull your resources so that person in charge has less ability and less velocity at their hands to make that change with. I think it should be the opposite. You should be louder, you should give more, and you should make your voice known.
Eloquently said. I don't think there's much for me to add there. I think the only fan thing I would probably say is like you kind of gotta choose at this point. You have to choose at this point. Are you all in, or are you going to tune out until the program's good? If that's your MO, perfectly fine. I mean, there's no right way to be a fan. But you can't be half in it now. Not after what we went through the last 2 years with realignment and the uncertainty of it and whether Cal football was going to survive, and if you were in that process, like not a decision maker, but as a fan, if you were in there, you're like, holy shit, is Cal going to survive? Like, are we going to stay like relevant? If that didn't scare you into fully being in on this team, I don't know what will. And that's the fight that Ron is trying to fight right now, and to keep us relevant, because realignment's not that far away. Like, the ACC grant of rights ends in 2030. That's only 5 years. We have to prove to the college football fan, mainstream, hive mind, whatever it is, that we're a program that cares and wants to win and wants to be competitive. Like, we don't want to be just dragged along. Like, we want to be proactive and at the forefront of, or like, trying to achieve greatness in this sport. And that's exactly what Ron's trying to do. So if we're in it, like, yeah, turn your brain off, but do that in 6 years. Like, do that after 2030. Once we've locked in like another, like, round of realignment, and we know that we're going to survive and all of that, that's when you can be like, yeah, you know what? Then you can play a little bit of that game of, you don't get my money until we like actually start winning. But for now, it's like we need everyone to be bought in. Like, you need to buy those seats. Like what Ron was saying when he was on the pod with us, right? Like, even if you're coming to the game, like, keep your TV on, because those TV ratings matter. And those are all evidences that we're giving Ron at his disposal to use in any of those conversations that he needs to have at any given point with TV executives, with league commissioners, with, sponsors, whoever it may be. Like, it might not be financial, but those are all just as important pieces of ammo that we can give Ron, who is basically trying to will us out of this entire like cycle of mediocrity that put us in this place.
Yeah, so true. Well said. So true. You could hear it in his voice. Truly, like, willing his way out of that, and our way out of that. It's awesome. I hope you, Rob, ask about that. I know I'm pre-plugging, but for the Duke game, that would be an interesting piece to think of. Is there a good follow-up question to that? How do you maintain that mentality, or how can we as maybe fans help in creating more of that mentality amongst the collective Cal fandom?
Yep.
I don't know.
We'll see. But I guess we'll move on here. Golden Bears says, before the season started, I think most of us would have been happy with a 3-1 start to the season. Obviously, this game was not great, but there's a lot of season left. How the team bounces back will tell us a lot about them. Exactly. That's basically what I said in the previous podcast.
All right, we'll go back. Let's go back.
Yeah.
Last year, how did we approach this? All right, we're like, let's do something different. Okay, we're going to track in quarters. We went first 4, second 4, third 4. Yep. Right? And it was like first 4, W, second 4, I can't remember. Was it like 500 and last 4 was...
Yeah. That was the fall off the roller coaster.
Yeah. So I think we should continue to look at it that way. I'll give you the 3-1, assuming, obviously I thought we would go 4-0 with that schedule, getting Minnesota at home. But if you were to put the Minnesota game as a loss, that is fine. I think we've said this game means a lot Saturday. It really does.
Yep.
It really does.
Yeah, that sets up a lot of things, not just our ACC run and, how we're going to play going into the ACC, but also what type of team is this? Like, how do they bounce back from a game where they got absolutely, blown up in every facet of the game?
Yeah.
So how they respond is huge. We'll find out on Saturday. Next one's from Dr. Oski. Why couldn't I go to a school like Alabama or Georgia? Well,
You wanted to have character.
Well, also, I will say this. Alabama and Georgia weren't always good. Like,
no.
they had seasons of being good, right? And even Alabama is currently going through a season of being not that good. Like, Saban was the one that brought Alabama back into this dynasty. But before Saban too, like, they had good years, but they also had bad years. Like, it's cyclical. Like that's just the way college football goes.
Am I the only one that likes Kalen DeBoer? I actually think he's dope.
I think he's a good coach. I just think he's not right for Alabama.
He's never failed in any stop.
I know, but you never want to be the guy that follows the guy. Like that's just the rule of thumb.
I know.
You want to be the guy that follows the guy that followed the guy.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I still like him.
I think what was it? I think it was Rich Eisen who basically said like Bama fans are about to get a rude awakening because there's like close to 10 years worth of like Bama fans that were created that went to college during those years that only witnessed Bama as like a top 4 team in the country every single year. Like that's their expectation of what Alabama football is, which in its own way is the exact opposite of us, right? With this whole like, you know, what Ron was talking about and getting out of the typical and that cycle of mediocrity. Like their expectation is to win every year, but at the same time, we like if you know sports, you can't maintain that. Like you're gonna have to have reset years, and that's kind of where they are. So they're like going through some identity crisis, trying to figure out like what the hell is Alabama football supposed to be if we're not competing for national championships. So
it comes for everybody.
But we move on. Yeah,
but we move on. Adams is here with so many questions. I hope one of them was, how is Andy feeling about being slightly alive in regards to him being cooked? Okay, he didn't ask that. You want to read it?
I can read it because I feel like you should answer a lot of Adams' questions. We'll go from the top. We'll start. We'll go question at a time, right? I won't read through the whole thing. How are the coaches so bad at keeping the team locked in, fired up, and ready to play week to week?
I don't know. I asked a former football player at UW. Who else did I ask? I asked a buddy of mine who worked on the equipment team with Cal. I asked everyone the same question. It's like, Wilcox is so focused on the attention to detail, never overlooking an opponent. And it just seems like you can rattle off an insane list where this happens. So I said this on the last podcast, I was like, the question is not why, in my opinion, like, why are we so bad at the question is that, but if I'm going to answer it, I need to understand what the difference is between, you know, the Dan Lannings of the world and what Lanning does every week, other than the obvious talent difference. But like, that's what I want to know. How does a team like that, or even, you know, who would be a good person would be, I forgot his name, coach of Utah. So
Kyle Whittingham.
Yeah, Kyle Whittingham would be a really good example of that too, because I feel like they don't really overlook opponents that often. When they have those good teams at Utah. I just would be so curious. It's like, what are they doing? If we could get like access to that, that's how I'd want to answer it. What do those coaches do that is somehow missing? And that's what I think Ron can provide. But I would be curious what his reaction was to it. I do think he can add some of that perspective that we don't have. But we have seen this happen over and over again. There's definitely a pattern there. And whatever we're doing just isn't working. I mean, you hear Wilcox being kind of flummoxed by it. It's like, practiced well, practiced competitive, never expected this to happen. And again, this one is a little bit different to me because I thought the game plan was working. We drove down the field. We put, you know, get in the end zone there. Hamper makes the catch down the sideline. Maybe we'll score again. You're talking about 10-0. I really do believe in that, like, belief and taking it away early and basically making that statement. You know, it would have been way harder for San Diego State to battle back from a 10-0 deficit than it was for them to build belief from a 10-0 advantage. But I don't know. I wish I had the answer. If I did, I might be making money from, you know, as an employee of Cal football.
Yeah, I mean, it's just weird because, like, as you said, he's so, like, adamant about the details and routine and, you know, like, all of that stuff. Like, so my question, you posed a great like thought experiment of like what do those coaches do that have their team locked in every week. Like, but at the same time, I look at that and go, well, like, then I guess the question we should be asking and looking at Wilcox is like, what did he do differently this week? Did he do anything differently this week? You know, like if it's the same preparation and the same mentality and the same routine that goes in every single week and nothing was changed from the Minnesota week to this week, like, I can't really blame him for it. Like if we're just looking at just the getting guys ready for the game, because if his system and his like routine and his structure that he set up wasn't working, we would be losing every game like this. Like it would be like the Carl Durrell situation, you know, when he was at Colorado. Like, you know, it would, or like Deshaun Foster at UCLA. Like it would just be constant losses, but it's not that. So like that's where I'm curious is like, is there a real difference in those particular weeks compared to the other weeks that have led to, you know, us beating Auburn or, you know, beating Ole Miss twice or, you know, like just like things like that. But that's not a question you or I can answer.
I do think there is something though, more specifically with being the favorite. There's something there. You know, whether it's Texas Southern or Idaho or like, you know, take your pick, right? UNLV, San Diego State, Arizona, Colorado. Like we can go down the list. But when Cal is a favorite, it is definitely one of those things that seems to, maybe it is overconfidence. You know, Wilcox, look, if I'm going to play devil's advocate to some of our own points, he does get a little swaggery when he likes, you know, when he feels like he's got it under control. The perfect example was it last year? Or maybe it was the year that we had Plummer. But I remember in the fall camp practices where I felt like he had a different level of confidence about, you know, he really liked his team. He really liked what was going to happen. I think that was when we still had Musgrave as OC, right?
It was either, yeah, you're right. I think it's either, it feels more like a last year thing than a year before. Because year before would have been Jaden's like first year, and I think there was still a question mark with Jaden. But I think his return after how well he did his freshman year, like, definitely built into that.
There was bit of like a bravado with it that sort of felt like I made the right changes. Yeah. We got the right people. And then all of a sudden things went wrong again in the very same way, and that sort of disappeared. But I still don't understand. I mean, he's as competitive as anybody, and we talked about how those coaches and players and athletes are wired different. I find myself agreeing that I don't know. Maybe we just truly thought that we could walk in there and every single player subconsciously said, who cares about San Diego State? And we just need to focus on Boston College. And we walked in and they just hit us straight in the mouth. And we tried to like wake up and couldn't do it in time. I mean, it does happen quite a bit in sports, and it happens a lot in tennis, a lot, because you're like playing constant underdogs at the beginning of majors or bigger tournaments. And you see it all the time. Alcaraz does it too. Best players in the world. Play someone who's ranked like 85, lose. And you're like, wait, what the hell was that? Right? And someone just walks in. But it's you got to hope it's the blip on the radar and not a trend.
Yeah. And, you know, I mean, let's look at the glass half full too. Like, Wilcox has never had this type of loss before. Like, he's had upsetting losses and disappointing losses, and I know that the people are going to be like, well, yeah, he's like lost like any, you know, a lot of these games where he couldn't rise in the moment. I get that. I 100% agree. But he's never had a game like this.
Yeah.
Where like just absolute dismantling of the team from beginning to end, like after the first drive. And that's probably why he sounded even more baffled, because there's at least something you can hang your hat on with how the team played, but like this San Diego State game, there was not a single thing he could.
Yeah. Yeah, agree.
Some of the
Well,
other things that Adam says, I thought some of the new coaches like Anaya, Griffin, and Novak would help the team maintain their edge, but nope. I worry it starts at the top. Do we need a crazy hard ass enforcing accountability? How do we change the complacent culture of the program? What are they going to do to move the needle between this week and next? I don't really think we can address the middle part because it's like that. That's just we don't know. I think the last question we can kind of address is what are they going to do to move the needle between this week and next week? And hopefully it was a wake-up call, that San Diego State game. And it'll be very interesting to, as we've been noting, like how this team comes out against Boston College will be a great indicator of what practice was like this week and where the team's mentality is after that type of loss against San Diego State.
all I'm going to say, Rob, is there's this guy who used to be a coach, and he never really had these moments happen, and he was known as a complete, hard ass, and he believed in this concept of rat poison, and he might have been there and seen Berkeley during college game day and had something to say about it, wearing a blue and gold tie. So I don't know if that coach ever wanted to just, maybe mess around for 1 or 2 years, try and take on something like a true challenge and see if he could turn around the culture at Berkeley. I'd be curious to see what he could do.
We just have to convince Miss Terry that living in California is great. That's the only thing we have to do, really.
Easier said than done.
Very much easier said than done. All right, move on. Scotty Moe says, losing games that we should win is a constant theme with Wilcox. He always talks about lack of preparation on these types of losses, but I feel like his in-game adjustments are suspect. Good coaches make the right moves during the game. Any thoughts on why this theme continues?
Well, with this, you'd have to be upset with the second half adjustments to a degree. And I'm not sure if I was. It just sort of felt like the offensive turnovers that led to points. I mean, the fumble that goes for a touchdown and that was the one. That was the one. And we're like moving the ball. I don't know. I don't know if we really got a true chance to look at offensive or like a true halftime adjustments here, and how much like the good coaches make the right moves during the game. I saw a bunch of comments that people were like upset that Wilcox wasn't more upset on the sideline. I was like, what do you want me to be doing? Like throwing a tantrum? Like, I don't really understand that at all. I don't know. I think, why does this theme continue? Why does this theme continue? That is the question. And I think it's a question we need to answer. Ultimately, I'll say it like this. If the theme continues in a way this season and it continues to happen, I'm going to guess that we're probably going to make a change. Just going to guess. This has been 9. What is this, year 10? Is it year 10?
Year 9.
Year 9. Okay. We've seen this for 9 years. So I'm going to guess we're going to make a change. I don't know about the financials, but I'll just say it that way. If it continues to be a theme, I have a feeling we're going to make a change.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's not necessarily about this one loss. It's more about what happens after this loss, because the trend has been after a loss like this, we go on a skid of losses. And if that can be rectified, I think we still have a good enough team to pull out some wins. But if this is what starts the slide, then yes, it's the same movie all over again, and we're probably looking to make a change this offseason. So we'll see. And that's why this Boston College game and that's why the Duke game is just as important for setting up the rest of the season. I got 2 more. One from Brendan Duff. There are Cal flops, there are Wilcox wipeouts, but this was just unforgivable. We made life easy for SDSU by being predictable and one-dimensional. I don't think this gets anyone fired, but this is beyond embarrassing.
I mean, yeah, I was lucky to be at a wedding. What can I say? I didn't experience this pain firsthand or go to the game. I think I'd be super pissed. My friends that were at the game were downright livid, and yeah, I just think that's what we have to understand. It's like people make huge sacrifices. I know one was saying they gave up a lot on the home front, and like taking care of a toddler all day just to go down and see that. Like, that's really hard. So I get it. It was embarrassing. It was. And to Rob's point, like, I don't know if we need to belabor this too much, but it's just going to be about how we respond. And I don't agree. Like, I do think that this is necessary. This could be evidence in a case to move on. So I don't think it's not necessarily a fireable offense. Like, it's not like the infamous Lane Kiffin tarmac deal.
Tarmac.
But it is one of those that could be a break in the dam, depending upon how we look. So I don't know. I mean, maybe we come back to that and say, oh yeah, that was it, right? I mean, we've been saying that for a while. I remember back in the day when the Colorado lost, the Arizona lost, people were like, that's it. Like, that's it, and then it was like the Arizona lost. But the cool thing about Wilcox is he gets our belief back because we think he's a solid coach. I think everyone believes this and sees that he has the potential. And a lot of the time we've blamed the program, we've blamed the administration, we've blamed everything around. So, like, this is the season, right? Even Dave Fleming, Stanford guy, on the broadcast, talking about how much has changed at Cal and the administration really changed towards football and leaning in and the campus leaning in. I mean, the narrative of excuse is gone. It's gone. So I don't know. I think this is kind of put up or shut up time. Maybe I'm being a little extreme, but
I mean, I've talked about this with Nam before the season started, but like, this is kind of the season where we'll know. Like, either we're going to explode into this 8-9 win team, or like we're gonna be making a change at the end of the season. I think it just financially it makes sense with his contract coming up. I think there's only 2 years left on his deal, so it is an quote unquote an extension year, because you don't want a coach sitting on just basically a 1-year contract when you're trying to recruit. So it's one or the other. I think we're at the end of the tunnel. It's just a matter of which direction we're going to go once we get out of it. And we're going to look back at these next couple of games, San Diego State, I think through, or basically Boston College, Duke, and UNC, and basically go, okay, well, that's the place that jump-started this run, or we're going to point to that and say, well, that was the start of the end. And we'll know either way. Like, this isn't one of those seasons, as Nam so poignantly said to me, this isn't one of those seasons where we're going to, at the end of the season, go like, okay, do we have to deal with this for another year? Or, like, after just another mediocre year? Or, like, is there a path to something else, like trying to figure out the financials? I think looking at it right now, and I've talked to Peter about the contract and the financials, it definitely feels like it's either one or the other. Either we're going to go with an extension because he was great, or we're going to move on because it was another mediocre or underwhelming season. And that's kind of how I feel too.
A lot on the line on Saturday.
A lot on the line. Yeah. Definitely. Last one is from Diz. A very tough loss, but can't somber too long on it. Move on and get focused for the next one. Better to get stomped on now than when it really matters. Still sucks, though. #Go Bears.
Let's end on that.
That's a good one to end on. It's a happy little note to end on. Yeah, that's it. It's BC week. It's Golden Tweets. We're all done here. Andy kind of alluded to it. We might have a surprise for y'all next week. Stay tuned on our Twitters and other places for an announcement of some sort. But yeah, we should have something super cool for you guys next week. So just be prepared for cool news. But Andy, been a pleasure. I don't think we have anything else to say other than it's Boston College Week. If you're going to Boston, enjoy yourselves. Check Avi's Twitter to see if you can meet up with some of the guys. I know Avi kind of does something like that every Friday night before the game if he's on a road trip. So go out, meet the guys, meet Peter, meet Avi, meet Nam, and enjoy yourselves. Us here in the Bay Area will probably be holding it down at Headlands, or if you're in the South Bay Peninsula, go check out Molly O's in San Carlos. And that's pretty much it, Andy. as always, go Bears.
Go Bears.